Yo, welcome back to the channel, man. Y'all know what's up, man. Show boy, man. That's aka Mr. NAPPY, boy, man. Today, man, we got the man who found Patrick Mahomes, aka the person who drafted Patrick Mahomes. Let's get it.
Their site.
It's there! Hartman! Jackpot! Kansas City!
The future?
Yeah, just know that the Kansas City Chiefs are never underdogs. Just know that.
The Kansas City Chiefs, however, have
Buddy, who the fuck said y'all niggas was? Who said y'all was underdogs? Who said that?
found a way to build one. But this whole thing, the Super Bowls, the legend, the success, none of it would have been possible without one man. One man who combed through days of tape to take a risk on a kid. One man who found a diamond in the rough and spent years convincing a franchise to see his vision. The one man who found a future GOAT. This is the unlikely story of the man who found Patrick Mahomes.
With the 10th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Patrick Mahomes, the second.
See, back in 2013, a young scout by the name of Brett Veach followed Coach Andy Reid to the Kansas City Chiefs. He accepted a position as the team's pro and college personnel analyst, a vague...
You know what's crazy? A lot of teams passed on Patrick Mahomes, bro.
undefined front office role that doubled as a blank canvas, a dream job for an upwardly mobile football scout. Veach worked under general manager John Dorsey and Chris Ballard. Veach kind of did a little of everything: college scouting, pro personnel work. The job description was basically, let's just see what you got. But what Veach did better than anyone on the staff above all else was he watched the tape of football players. It seems simple. It seems like something any scout should be good at. But if you've seen the movie Air or know anything about Michael Jordan and Nike, you know how difficult scouting can really be.
Money can buy you almost anything. It can't buy you immortality. That you have to earn. I'm gonna look you in the eyes and I'm gonna tell you the future. You were cut from your high school basketball team. You willed your way to the NBA. You're gonna win championships.
If you think you understand how much tape football scouts actually consume in a given year, I promise you're wrong. It is astonishing, astounding, almost a sickening amount. When Dorsey came to Kansas City, the organization's scouts spent 17 days before the NFL scouting combine watching tape of college players. Marathon sessions began at
I really feel like the best players come in like the later rounds, because when people that get picked in the high rounds, there'll be people like maybe had a good ass college year, maybe good ass old line and this, and the people around him and this and that. But I feel like maybe like the underground good gems be like at like the later rounds. Feel me?
5 a.m. and sometimes lasted into the evening. This was like a training camp for scouts. Dorsey was the type of manager that believed franchise players could be found through film work, and that if you couldn't find an answer about a player on tape, it probably didn't exist. In the old scout view, the best way to find talent, the only way to build a championship roster that could win a Super Bowl, was to grind the tape 3, 4, 5 games at a time. So much tape that if you looked up at the clock and realized 5 hours had passed and your brain wasn't completely numb, well, maybe you were onto something. This is what happened to Brett Veach one day in early 2016. He was looking at an offensive lineman from Texas Tech who was projected to go in the NFL draft that spring. Among the first games he watched was Texas Tech's 56-27 loss to LSU in the Texas Bowl on December 29th, 2015. Now, this wasn't much of a game. LSU had an All-American running back in Leonard Fournette and NFL talent all over the field. But as Veach watched, he kept finding himself drawn to the quarterback from Texas Tech, who was slinging sidearm passes, scrambling around, and fighting like hell to keep his overmatched team in the game. Veach even once joked to his colleagues that he had an internal excitometer that surfaces when he watches football players. He described it as like a crude measurement system that existed in his mind and in his gut. And on the first day that he witnessed Patrick Mahomes play, that excitometer system...
Good thing about Patrick Mahomes too, this nigga played baseball. So that's what he's doing, all them, them side-on throws, because you know how in baseball you can... Yeah, now baseball, you know them side-on throws. That's it. When you play baseball, when you play other sports, that's gonna help you a lot. especially with track where it's track and help your stamina.
Overloaded.
And
See, Mahomes had
speed
just
and
finished
all
his
that.
sophomore season, just 2 years removed from White House High School. He'd thrown for 4,653 yards as a sophomore and put up big numbers in the Red Raiders' air raid offense, as most Texas Tech quarterbacks did. But owing to his quiet college recruitment and the fact that he wasn't eligible for the draft for another year, he wasn't exactly on NFL radars. So Veach thought to himself, who is this guy? That question, it quickly became an obsession. Who was Patrick Mahomes? What was his story? Why was he at Texas Tech? Did he have the right size? How old was he? Would he be in the draft next year? These questions eventually led Veach down a rabbit hole. More and more tape, more ridiculous throws, and more questions. That was all until one day that spring. He was grinding Mahomes tape on a quiet weekend inside the Chiefs' offices when head coach Andy Reid walked by. Reid was curious what Veach had been up to, and well, Veach had a simple answer. He was watching the next quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. However, the issue, Veach was the only one that believed that. See, there was something about the way Mahomes' body worked, how his right arm could unleash thunderbolts at the most awkward angles, how he was built like a sturdy running back with a backside that once helped him earn the nickname Fat Trick at Texas Tech. Veach had less than a decade of scouting experience
Hold on,
since
you're telling me he was the only one that believed in Patrick Mahomes? Damn, that's crazy. Hey, and it worked though. It worked. Look, Patrick Mahomes has what? 3 Super Bowls? Nigga has 3 Super Bowls, bro. 3 rings.
joining Andy Reid in Philly. But the more he watched, the more he was certain Mahomes was the best football player he had ever seen. He would spend fall of 2016 combing through Texas Tech film, cutting up clips and sending them to Andy Reid. He used his salesman touch to lobby to general manager John Dorsey, who would all in all have the final say at the draft. At one point in late fall, Veach put together around 10 minutes of Mahomes highlights and flooded Andy Reid's phone. That was until coach finally responded saying, "Okay, that's enough. Wait until the season's over." That season saw the Chiefs finish 12-4 and won their first AFC West title since 2010. But at some point in the new year, Reid came across one of the first media mock drafts for the upcoming 2017 NFL draft. He texted Veach to come into his office where he had a printout of the first round. Veach was curious. Why was Mahomes not even listed? Well, that was because the doubters saw a system quarterback, a description typically reserved for college quarterbacks who were said to benefit from playing in a high-powered or innovative spread passing attack.
Let's just loosen up with batting practice right down the...
I'm sorry, but Patrick Mahomes is different. This nigga can win with any receiver you put around him. This nigga won last with what? Not even a top 5, top 10 fucking receiver. Who he had? He had Tyreek. He had what? Hartman. He had fucking Marcus Van Scaly, whatever his name is. Like, come on now. Yeah, yes, he has a top 3 tight end, but he don't have like the. Come on now.
The middle. Who's the player that everybody down there loves?
O.J. Howard. It was clear really after the first practice. And
The doubters also saw a project that had adventurous footwork and questionable decision-making. ESPN draft analyst Todd McShay even wrote that Mahomes misses entirely too many open targets because his mechanics are all over the place. The NFL Network's Mike Mayock had Mahomes ranked as the 4th best quarterback in the draft, behind Notre Dame's Deshaun Kaiser, Clemson's Deshaun Watson, and North Carolina's Mitch Trubisky. When Mahomes heard back
Who the fuck is Deshaun Kaiser? Who?
from the NFL Draft
What?
Advisory Board, a panel of executives and scouting experts who assigned grades to prospective players told him that he was at best a 2nd-round pick. Now, don't get me wrong here. There were explanations for his flaws. Mahomes had only been playing quarterback for 5 years, and he'd been a full-time football player for only 1. It wasn't even until his sophomore season, following a talk with Texas Tech head coach Cliff Kingsbury, that he realized he would even have a chance to play in the NFL. So that's when he finally quit baseball for good. Now, Mahomes did have sloppy footwork. That was obvious. Sometimes he'd drift backwards and throw off his back foot for no particular reason. Other times he would just chuck up the ball for grabs like he was playing a children's game of 500. But you see, the smart ones, they knew that the backyard mechanics made his 65% completion percentage all the more impressive. The 2017 NFL Draft was set to begin April
Okay, if it's forward, but like, you're telling me they drafted Mitch Trubisky. No, Deshaun Watson. I'm sorry, Deshaun Watson is not better than fucking Patrick Mahomes. Like, come on now. Like,
27th in Philadelphia. Mahomes had just 3.5 months to prove himself and move up the draft boards. So in January, his agents Lee Steinberg and Chris Cabot sent the quarterback to Exo's training facility in Carlsbad, California, where he began daily workouts with former NFL quarterback coach Mike Shepard, the same Mike Shepard who had once recruited Andy Reid to BYU. Shepard ran Mahomes through drills to refine his technique. They covered so much ground that offseason that Shepard came to realize Mahomes was more than a big arm. He was smarter than anybody he knew. See, Mahomes had earned a 3.71 grade point average at Texas Tech, and nobody knew it yet, but Patrick Mahomes had a photographic memory. His agent Lee Steinberg remembered asking him, "Does that mean you can remember every play you've ever played?" Mahomes responded, "Yes." If NFL teams were concerned that Mahomes was a system quarterback, specifically one from a simplified scheme that almost exclusively used a shotgun formation, Steinberg believed that they just needed to see how his mind worked. When Mahomes met with the Arizona Cardinals before the draft, Cardinals head coach...
Hold on. So you're telling me they thought he was a system quarterback, he couldn't really remember plays, footwork, this and that. To me, it sounds like a bunch of fucking excuses to me. This sound like excuses like...
Bruce Arians put his memory to the test. On a board, he drew up 6 plays and 2 or 3 pass protection schemes. Then he showed Mahomes video of some blitz packages and offered audible calls that would allow him to switch to protection depending on the look. Just 2 hours later, Mahomes went out on the field and Arians blurted out a protection and blitz package. "Righty, righty," Mahomes said, fixing the protection. Holy cow, Arians thought. Then he did it again. Mahomes had already mastered something that might take another quarterback over a year. Brett Veach's secret was starting to get out. The Cardinals, who had the 13th pick, they started to like Mahomes. So did Buffalo's owner Terry Pegula, who sought to give his front office complete autonomy to make their own choice at number 10. The New Orleans Saints, who picked one spot after the Bills, were thinking of a quarterback too. And when Saints coach Sean Payton traveled to Lubbock, Texas, he was taken by Mahomes' talent and his smile. Payton thought that this was the best quarterback he had ever evaluated. The Chiefs, meanwhile, were picking 27th and still hadn't picked a quarterback in the first round since 1983 when they drafted Todd Blackledge, 7th overall out of Penn State. Blackledge was famously a bust, which stopped the Chiefs from taking chances on young QBs. Back in Kansas City, however, Dorsey and the front office were starting to plot. On January 17th, Veach had run into Mahomes' agent.
I'm trying to confuse on how the hell they even got the top pick. Yeah, they were trying to draft 27. How the hell they get the top pick? For me, damn,
Cabot at the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl and revealed a secret. He loved Mahomes. The conversation started a daily back channel of texts and updates that lasted for another 3 months. Steinberg and Cabot saw Kansas City as the ideal landing spot. Steinberg had known Chiefs owner Clark Hunt since Hunt was a ball boy. Andy Reid was renowned for his work with quarterbacks. The Chiefs had a good starter in Alex Smith, but even Mahomes' family believed he might benefit from a year of development on the bench. And then there was the city. Steinberg saw Kansas City as a scalable town for a kid from Tyler, Texas. It was a place where Mahomes might fit into the culture and actually connect with a fervent fan base. Steinberg thought of the cliche Midwest nice. It fit Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes famously said that Kansas City is a city where you know the fan base loves football. You want to be a part of a city that's just all in for you. But you see, if the Chiefs were going to land him, they couldn't wait till the 27th pick. So a new question came into focus. What if the Chiefs were to trade up with another team to get Patrick Mahomes? So as the morning of the 2017 NFL draft approached,
I understand who they traded or what pick they traded for to get this top pick.
Veach headed off to work. That same morning, John Dorsey was calling Doug Whaley, the general manager of the Buffalo Bills. Their communication had started months earlier around the NFL scouting combine, and just days earlier, they had agreed to the basics of a possible trade, in which the Chiefs would package the 27th pick, a 3rd round pick, and a 1st round pick in 2018 to move up to the Bills spot at number 10. Now, the NFL draft can feel like an impenetrable black box. Teams will protect their intel like diplomatic cables. Smoke screens are thrown everywhere. Dorsey, for instance, had invited the top 5 quarterback prospects to visit Kansas City before the draft. This was just so Mahomes wouldn't stand out, and he kept dropping the name of Alabama linebacker Reuben Foster into conversations with other executives. But this meant that nobody in the Chiefs front office could be certain how it would go. See, the Saints lurked at number 11, and Dorsey was certain they wanted Mahomes. The Cleveland Browns, who are always in need of a quarterback, had the 1st pick and the 12th. Nobody seemed to know anything about about the Chicago Bears going to number 3, but if the Chiefs could move up to number 10, Dorsey was only really worried about the Chargers at number 7, who could stash Mahomes behind an aging Phillip Rivers. However, there was one piece of NFL fine print working in the Chiefs' favor. NFL contracts for rookies contain a team option for a 5th season, and it just so happened that the slotted money for the 5th-year option fell substantially from the 10th pick to the 11th. Thus, it made financial sense for the Saints and the Cardinals to sit tight and not trade up. So Veach thought the Chiefs could catch the entire league by surprise. Back in Texas, Mahomes was still hopeful about Kansas City. He had left his pre-draft meeting with the Bears convinced that they might take him, and he had heard similar sentiments from—
I'm sorry, but if the Bears would have drafted Pat Mahomes, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, we would have. The Pat Mahomes now, we probably got that Pat Mahomes. That nigga was drafted by the Bears. Like, come on.
From other coaches, but as the draft approached, he had his agents deliver a message to the Chiefs front office using the inside info they had gathered from other teams. If the Chiefs wanted to draft Mahomes, they were going to need to move up to at least 12th. The draft began as expected. The Browns took defensive end Myles Garrett, but then a surprise came. The Chicago Bears traded up one spot to take North Carolina quarterback Mitch Trubisky at number 2.
The Bears, y'all niggas drafted Mitch Trubisky. Yeah, y'all niggas stupid.
Which had astounded executives across the league. Trubisky had started just one season at North Carolina, and the Bears had flattered Mahomes in their meeting. Bears GM Ryan Pace would say that the one difference was Trubisky's perceived ability to process information, which he compared to that of Saints quarterback Drew Brees. The Chiefs finally had some excitement, but they still had to worry about the Chargers at number 7. That could throw a wrench into this entire plan. They also still had a trade to finalize, so when the Chargers opted to take Clemson wide receiver Mike Williams, John Dorsey went to work, sorting through the trade details with Whaley one more time. The deal, in principle, was done, and when the Bills went on the clock at number 10, Dorsey finally called back. "Let's get it done," he said. Whaley still wanted to wait on other offers before turning the trade into
but the good thing is, the Bills, who they got? They got Josh. I'm pretty sure they got Josh Allen in the 2018 draft.
Now, inside the Chiefs room, they could only wait. 1 minute went by, then 2, then 3, and finally, Whaley called back, and it was done. In the final moments before NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell announced the pick, Andy Reid rushed to call Alex Smith, and Mahomes sat on a sofa at Lago del Pino in Philadelphia. Next to him was his mother and his agent. Nothing would ever be the same. Not for Mahomes, not for the Chiefs, or the city of Kansas City. At one point that night, Mahomes got a text from Brett Veach. It was a photo of a note. "Pat, no matter what."
With the 10th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft.
All right, congratulations.
The Kansas City Chiefs select Patrick Mahomes, the 2nd.
It's a great night, great day. Enjoy it, and we're fired up.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people didn't think Pat Mahomes was gonna be like that, but it always be like, the underrated gyms that be at like these low top schools, not low top schools, but like the school people don't really worry about. People are not worried about this type. Feel me? Like what people look at is Alabama, Michigan, Clemson, LSU, so those type of schools. Feel me?
My name is All Hail Colin, and as we all know, this turned out to be one of the greatest picks in NFL history. And Patrick Mahomes has turned into one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. But it all started with the intuition of one man named Brett Veach. Thank you for watching.
Yep. Let me know what you think down below, man. That was a great video. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, man. We out.